Well, thank you for having us here, man. Your studio is beautiful.
Thank you.
How long have you been here?
A little over a year.
Okay. And was this space one big open space when you moved in? I can see that there's a couple partitions, but
It was, and I sectioned this part of it off
okay.
for the room, just like a modular setup.
And you have tube traps in here, but you were really saying that the keys sound so good.
Yeah, the keys probably sound good on the moon. But yeah, the combination, when I had the panels set up, I just felt, well, the tube traps are mostly for the Atmos setup, I think, more so than the stereo. Just because I want the reflections to come off the sings. It creates virtual like sides and everything. So the reflection parts of the tube traps are really what I'm using.
So these sings are pretty interesting. You were telling me a little bit about them, but if we can go into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
You said, who designed these?
Well, they're designed by Christopher Stringer. He was a designer at Apple.
Okay.
And I met him a couple years ago, and he was playing these speakers, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? Because they sounded really, just two of them were amazing. And then they started developing the Atmos technology, and he hit me up, and he's like, these are ready to go for Atmos. Do you want to try them? Set them up, and it was just like amazing.
So it's 4 speakers and then one above your head, right?
Correct. And that translates to 714.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And how does that translate with the actual Dolby engine with outputs?
It connects directly to one master sing cell,
Okay.
which then transmits the information via Wi-Fi to the others.
Oh, amazing.
And there's an application, an OS application, where you designate what your height speaker is.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of calibration. It's really fast. They all tune themselves in a matter of 2 minutes, and it's all done on an iOS app.
That's awesome.
So you literally go, press a button, calibrate. They'll measure everything: distance, proximity.
Are they sending out noises and stuff?
Yeah,
Yep.
just sweeps. It's a general tuning calibration that they designed. Measures how far each cell is from each other, and also what is surrounding the cells. So it takes reflections. It utilizes reflections, basically, which is why I got the tube traps.
Interesting.
Because the Rockwell is kind of absorbing everything.
Yes.
So you need the dispersion and the reflections to create this 3D image.
Yes.
And it's actually pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, they sound great in this room.
Yeah.
And that Atmos mix you played me sounded incredible, man.
Yeah, thank you.
So, how long have you been working in immersive?
I would say the better part of a year.
Okay.
Since like last summer, I think.
Awesome.
Got really into it. Yeah, last summer. Started, just on headphones, just getting acquainted. And then the timing of everything just kind of worked out with, by the time I was ready to pull the trigger on getting a whole system, Sing had approached me and said, hey, we're ready. And I always kind of wanted these to be the Atmos setup, so I did hold out a little bit because, they said we're going to do it, and I was like, I have faith in these guys.
Yes.
And they came through.
I've heard at least 7 Atmos rooms on the journey so far, and this is definitely one of the most impressive. It sounds great.
Thank you.
And the fact that there's only 5 speakers and they're not flown from the fucking ceiling makes this seem like a viable option for my studio. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, there's no wires. The only cable that's connecting any of these speakers is a power cable.
The only question that I have is, in my front corner, I got a door that would be a problem. Could I put one speaker offset? Could they compensate for that?
They could, but it's better to create just like a perfect square or rectangle.
Yep.
And then position the top one. But it is, you should try it.
Yeah.
It's probably not most optimal, but they're adaptable. They measure the room around themselves. So.
And they sound incredible. Even from sitting back here on the couch, the front sounded nice and clear, and you could definitely tell where center was.
It's definitely changed the game for me.
That's awesome. How long have they been in here?
We got them in here earlier this year, or last year. We're in February.
Okay.
It was like the spring of last year, I think.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And you're in downtown LA, which is an interesting choice. I personally love downtown LA. There's a lot of people from LA who seem to fucking hate downtown LA.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
It's like New York. It's like Manhattan, Midtown Manhattan in the 70s on bad drugs. You know, I'm from New York.
Yes.
It's whatever. I like what I'm getting out of it, you know. Of course, you move to LA, let's go to the beach or something, or the hills.
Yes.
I lived up in the hills, and I lived like in K-Town and Hollywood and stuff. But I wanted to have a space like this where I can set up, you know, a nice big Atmos room. Or it's not big, but, you know, space itself is big, high ceilings. And I wanted to kind of just have a good vibe, get some natural light. And you can't really find a place like this, you know, anywhere else in LA. And downtown's got all the cool lofts, so works for me.
No, it's a beautiful loft. So, you know, do you have any issues with your neighbors, or are these all?
This building used to be the LA Library
Okay.
in the 1920s. So it's completely solid concrete ceilings, floors, walls. So there's no
problem.
really no issues. Yeah.
That's awesome. Man.
And all these units are like a live work situation. So not everyone lives here either. So,
That's great.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's really nice.
Definitely happy with it. Definitely one of the better sounding rooms I've ever been in. Even at Masterdisk, I think this is better than my room at Masterdisk.
I mean, I think it sounds incredible in here,
Yeah.
man. You know,
And that sounds like a stretch, like I'm full of shit. But
no,
I seriously think this is like one of the best sounding rooms I've ever had.
yeah, I've been in some incredible rooms this week, and this is definitely in the top 2. You know,
thanks.
it is really, really wonderful sounding.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a lot to do with the speakers, you know. The sings are DSP beamforming, the keys are DSP beamforming, and they're cardioid. So
Do the singing self-tune themselves as well? Or, I mean, the keys?
The keys do not self-tune themselves, but what's happening is there's DSP processing that's being applied in the rears. So there's backfiring drivers and drivers on the sides that create phase cancellation of, you know, low end buildup, and it basically clears that out and just pushes it forward.
That's awesome.
So it's kind of room agnostic in a way. And it comes, you know, you can, you know, configure some more EQ settings.
Do they come with those gnarly stands, or did you get those special?
They kind of make them, yeah. It came with the order, yeah.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, thanks.
And then tell us about the PMCs.
PMCs, those are the 6.2s. I was using PMC for a really long time, but I felt for this room, I needed something bigger and something that was just gonna be completely flat and just transparent for the room size. The PMCs, I use them mostly now for like the mid-range, just to hear, but I'm mostly on the keys now. I also just like use the PMCs for analog when I go, you know, I'm just making music.
Yep.
You know, because there's latency on the keys.
Okay. Oh, because of the DSP?
Yeah.
Interesting. I see, you know, we got a bass 6 and we got an
Yeah,
SG
got
over
some
here.
guitars.
Are you a guitar player?
Yeah, I played in bands my whole life.
Okay, awesome. Are you
yeah.
playing with anybody out here?
No one out here. There's been talks about doing some stuff with some other engineers out here. But yeah, I played, you know, that picture right above you, that's a billboard my band put up, and we used that photo for our album cover. And that's
Okay.
been running for about 7 years in New York.
Okay, awesome. Where's it at in New York so people can go
It's
see
in Long.
it?
It's if you're driving into Manhattan from Queens on the Queens Midtown Tunnel, it's on the right side
Okay.
as you're going into Manhattan.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, we were always, my brother and I played in bands our whole lives.
What kind of bands were you in?
That band was called Unstoppable Death Machines, and it was just like a noise punk freak out with pop sensibilities.
Awesome.
You know, bass and drums. We had microphones we made out of tweeters, put them around our faces. We were deep in the graffiti and the DIY, like bike crew scene and stuff like that. And it was a good time.
That's
Yeah.
really cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, I love the feel of your room. It feels very modern. You know, I love the small desk. Really, you know, besides speakers in here, mostly what you have is for monitoring control, it seems like over there. Can you tell us what we got going on?
Yeah, I just have the Hilo, and I'm really just using it as a controller to go from the keys to the PMCs and whatever different inputs from Wavelab, Pro Tools, Dolby, or whatever, computer audio.
Okay. So,
And this little thing is just, you know, potentiometer. And the key controller is really just the monitor controller for the keys. Works separate from the Hilo.
so when you're using the Hilo to route to the keys, do you use the key monitor controller for your volume control then at that point?
Yeah, I'm really just using the AES output to feed the speakers.
Okay, so you're going from your computer into that AES out into your speakers.
Yeah,
Okay, awesome.
yeah.
I love the way that those Hilos sounded. I think they're amazing boxes.
Yeah, I used to, you know, use it more. It's really just like a digital controller at this point.
Okay. Hey, if it works, it works. So that, if I'm not mistaken, that's the original one knob from the Kickstarter, right?
From, I can't remember his name, but he's in Greece. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. They're
So-
cool.
Do you use it often?
Sometimes. Like if I want to like dial something in without looking,
Mm-hmm.
and just like look away and just old school. But, you know, not all the time.
Does it really work where if you like click on a knob, it's automatically assigned to that?
You have to hover over it.
Okay.
Hover over and then just from there.
That's cool, man. I've always been interested about those. I know Logitech
It's-
saw that and came out with a very similar product.
Did they?
Yeah.
It's nice. It's nicely made.
Yeah.
Whatever. Just a cool little thing.
Does the Switch do Switch stuff too?
You go from XY axis and then from infinity scroll to lock.
Oh, okay. So like go over and
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah, so
That's awesome, man.
pretty simple. Yeah. It's cool.
I love it. I love the layout.
Thanks, man.
And you know, besides the Hilo, you know, I see a UAD box down there, but that's for DSP. There's no other interface. This is it.
Yeah, no, I don't even have the UA thing on. I hardly use that stuff. If I do, it's for the Atmos stuff.
Okay.
But I don't really use the UA stuff for mastering anymore.
And at this point, are you doing mostly just mastering, or are you doing some mixing too?
I'm doing some mixing sometimes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Can't really take a lot of mix work.
It takes longer.
It takes a lot longer. It's not even longer in the sense that it takes me longer. It's just there's more decisions to be made by the artist, like
Back and
back and
forth.
forths. You know, tweak this up, less, louder, quieter, whatever.
Yep.
So in that sense, I have to be selective. But I'm mixing an album for this artist. His name's Ladonis, and it's really cool. He's one of my favorite artists, which is why I agreed to mix it, because I actually think he's pretty good.
Well, it's always better when you love the music.
Yeah, and to go back and forth with stuff like that, you know, it's better. But
Yeah.
mastering takes up so much of my time that I can't really do the mixing. I do the Atmos mixing, which is, in my mind, analogous to like disc cutting. You're just taking one format to another.
Mhm.
You know, it's not like you're rebalancing, you know, effects or whatever, levels. You're really just matching a stereo and just putting it out in the space. So Atmos mixing is pretty much, you know, most of the mixing I'm doing.
And when it comes to that, do you find that you have to rely on signal processing a lot, or is it mostly just level and panning?
Yeah, I do some processing,
Mhm.
believe it or not, because on the projects where it's always going to sound better. Like, you can't just take raw stems and just be like boom, 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 boom,
No. I don't.
and be done with it. Like,
Yeah.
you actually have the way things are spread out. The cohesion of the stereo mix isn't really there, so you have to kind of juice things up and make things shine and punch a little bit more. So there is like processing involved, but yeah, it depends also. Sometimes you don't want to. Like, it really depends how if the mixes are good and the stems like match the mixes.
Then you,
Okay, not a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yep.
But I get stems that just are like, this isn't even the same song.
I totally understand. Yeah, so that is really comes down to a situation on how well it is prepared on what comes over to you.
Yeah, if it's well prepared, it's way easier,
Mm-hmm.
a lot quicker, and a lot simpler. When things are just messy, it takes forever.
Then you got to go and dig in.
It's a lot, yeah.
Yep.
And that could be
So
sometimes a nightmare.
do you find that your tools translate from stereo to immersive, like the same things that you're relying on to work in stereo as far as EQing?
Actually, sometimes no, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm not using the same types of EQs or even making the same types of decisions. Like for Atmos, I really want things to punch the same way they do in stereo.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm using a lot of transient designers or transient shapers or saturators. Sometimes I even clip, like, just to get things to hit a little harder.
Okay.
But it's not the same approach. I mean, principally and like aesthetically, it's the same approach. Get things to hit, get things to shine, that. But like the tools I'm using aren't really the same, to be honest. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it's interesting that you've had to probably, reach out to some things that you weren't using before that you were already had. Like if you're using transient designers, you probably had transient designers, but you're fine.
I use the Sontec on the Atmos shit all the time.
Oh, really? What for?
For everything.
For everything?
Yeah. Just line them up,
Hey.
link them, and, a little punch, but, and the analog, the aggressive mode.
Oh, you like using that?
Yeah, I like that. But yeah, I do use the Sontec on mastering too. That's kind of replaced my Sontec, my other Sontec clone.
Okay, what were you using before?
But if you push it, it will go over.
Yeah.
But there's a sweet spot there where you can find in mastering.
Exactly.
You just kind of dial it in, and it'll give you that little extra, just push.
Yep.
Yeah. It's cool.
I'm glad you had a chance
Yeah.
to try it
When you
out.
told me about it yesterday, I was like, oh, let me try this out. Because I pulled it up once. I'm like, I don't even, what is
Yeah. Yeah.
But I like how, unassuming the plugin is. It's like,
Well, and we got a lot of shit for it because everybody saw it like before it came out, and there was a lot of hype around it, and then everyone got it expecting it to be. Some people made videos about it being digital or tape saturation and harmonic distortion, and it's like, no, and that's not really what you need. Like sometimes you need to listen to what you're doing and make a decision on if it needs to be a little bit louder, a little bit softer, you know. And that's what good math does for me. And then there's also an added bonus too, which when it comes to mixing, I love to use it for revisions. So like I'll pull it up and someone's like, turn the vocal up. I'll turn it up a dB and then like turn it up again. I'll do it the next one so I can keep track of them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it just adds something. I don't know.
Yeah. And that's BJ. BJ is incredibly wonderful at programming. So he was able to capture what was happening from the process that I was using before and catch it and be like, okay.
So what were you doing before?
Well, before it was 3 plugins that I was using, and going into them from one to the other, clipping would cause that routing error. So, yeah, they were just 3 plugins that I'd shove in a row.
Which were they?
Well, I don't want to give that away. I'll tell you when the camera's off. You should definitely, as far as what you're talking about, as far as just like adding a little bit of punch and a little bit of excitement, I think you'd really get a lot of use out of those parallel process plugins when you're working on
I should check them out. Yeah, I'm like so slow to try new things. You know,
dude, it's okay. I will say that I was very hyped when we got the VST3 version back.
Oh yeah.
Because as soon as I got it, I got it and I sent it to a couple of our beta testers, and I waited all night and then called them at 9 o'clock in the morning. I was like, your computer break? And they're like, no, man, it's working good. I was like, okay. And Ryan sent it to you, dude.
Dude, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I use that in mastering all the time that I got the VST3.
That's awesome.
But I was using the AAX version when I was doing the Atmos stuff.
Yep.
So I was already getting acquainted with it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I'm very.
It's a great plugin.
And you got to see the options panel yesterday. Everyone else doesn't know what's on there, but are you hyped about that?
Oh yeah, of course. Flexibility is always good to have.
Yes.
It's better than have more than less.
So just so everybody knows, we were listening. But let's hop right into your top 5. So we do this thing with everybody where we're gonna ask you your top 5 things that you utilize in the box. And a lot of people have outboard gear when we're asking these questions, so they get all fucked up and say like, "Oh, but I do this." You don't. So these are the tools that you're using every day.
Yeah.
What's your go-to equalizers, man?
Well, the Soundtech,
Yep.
for real.
Thank
'Cause
you.
One way or the other, it was always that, even when I had the hardware. Top 5 EQs.
Well, no. Just like if you have a couple, like.
Yeah, like the Soundtech is good. I use titanium. It's
Okay.
a multiband.
Yep.
It's a TubeTech multiband.
Yes.
Sometimes I use the McDSP, the
Mhm.
ML4. It's a multi-limiter.
Yep.
But
you're using those for tonal shaping, like an EQ.
the ML4 for like dynamics,
Mhm.
yeah, like dynamic EQ,
Okay.
just like the titanium mostly on the low end.
To rein it in or to pump it up.
Both, yeah, squeeze and pump
Cool.
for the low end. I used to use the massive passive a lot, but I stopped using the UA stuff. Acoustica has one. It's called Magenta, but it's too unruly. I don't know. It's not right. I can't get it to do what I normally can do with the massive passive. That's about it for the EQs.
Well, the next one is, what are your favorite compressors?
I like the GML compressor that Acoustica has. It's called Green.
Yep.
Sometimes I just put the preamp and just roll it through. It adds like some bass, which is nice. I like the Vertigo,
The VSC.
VSC2, a Varimu, any sort of a Varimu tube.
Mm-hmm.
I started using like a Fairchild here and there. But yeah, I don't really compress too much. I'll just run it through like a preamp usually, just to get the tone of the box. Limiters, Oxford, Invisible, Limitless.
Yep.
Maybe sometimes all of them. Yeah, that's it.
Nope.
It's between those 3.
No, I love all 3 of those as well. I
Yeah.
get a lot of use out of Limitless.
And sometimes you chain them, which is, I use Limitless in through mode.
Through mode.
I mean, not Limitless, Invisible.
Okay.
Yeah, through. Do you know about that?
No.
Well, instead of suppress or I think suppress clip,
Mm-hmm.
just running it through, just volume. It
Interesting.
won't limit.
Interesting.
Yeah, try that.
I will. I definitely will try that out.
And then Limitless.
Well, that's what I was saying. I use Limitless. That's like my main.
You know about negative drive?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep. That's awesome.
yeah, that's a trick.
Yeah.
Everyone hates Limitless because it comes up. Like if you just bring it up, it just starts slamming.
Yes.
I don't know. I should just redo the default.
Well, I have a preset that I've stumbled upon that I will tell you about when the cameras are off, and I'll send it over to you. And then I definitely want to see how you're utilizing negative
Yeah,
drive too.
I just bring it down.
Yep.
And the clipping I use Knee 2.
Yes.
Knee 2 is my favorite. Negative drive. Don't limit.
Have you ever turned it into a wideband?
I don't think so.
Yeah, deleted all the bands and then made one big band.
Oh no.
So
I
it's-
usually just leave it flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also don't really limit. It's just there to
Catch it.
just 0.1 ceiling. Before I do, maybe I clip afterwards or something.
Okay. Is that what you're using to get louder than clipping?
Sometimes I'll clip in Limitless, or sometimes I'll clip after Limitless with like whatever, some other random clipper.
Do you like K-clip or standard clip? What do you like to use?
The Acoustica's got good ones.
Like Ash?
Lift.
Okay.
It's called Diamond Lift.
Oh yeah, the Studio DMI.
Yes, those are good.
Yes.
Or what was it called? Fire the Clip.
That's the one that just came out, right?
That was a good one.
Yeah.
But most of the time, just in Limitless. Need to
Cool.
clip it. True Peak. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't really use the Fab filter.
The Pro L.
I don't really use it.
Yeah.
I try it, but I never really go with it.
I used to. There's one setting in there that I particularly like, which is if you go into the version 1 presets, there's a dubstep, like controlled low end setting that I just think is really good for
Okay.
you
I
know
gotta look at that.
getting like. I'm never gonna hit it more than like half a dB as far as getting out of it, but for when you're stacking, I'll put that in there sometimes.
Nice.
But yeah, have you tried Elephant?
No.
Yeah, you should try that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I think I'm good. I don't know. I'm just, like,
You're good?
very like if it's not broken. Yeah.
No, absolutely. What's your favorite reverbs?
Like Valhalla, Sound Toys. I don't really use reverb in mastering.
Yep.
But the Valhalla stuff is good. The UA stuff is good.
If you have to use a reverb in mastering, is it because someone cut off the end of the tail and you got to recreate it?
No, just be like, that's what it is. Approved mix, right? It's like, was this mix approved? Yes? Okay. Well,
Just let it ride.
no, I never had to do that, thankfully. It just seems like a pain in the ass.
Yeah, well, since the top 5 go through reverb and delay, and we're talking a lot of mastering engineers,
Delay.
we've been asking it.
Space Echo.
No one's using delay in mastering.
Space Echo all day in mastering.
Is it because someone chopped off the tail and you gotta recreate it? What's funny is like there's a couple dudes who like have reverbs and like people chop or if I get a classical song, I'll just like make it wetter. It's like okay.
Hey. Yeah, thankfully I don't have to do any of that stuff. Yeah. We had a reverb at Masterdisk, and I remember asking my mentor, like, do you use this? He was like, no. I was like, okay.
What was the reverb at Masterdisk?
It was like in the Weiss box or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Did you guys have one of those Weiss consoles?
It was pretty big. It was like, yeah,
Yep.
it was pretty large.
Those were cool though. They sounded great.
Use it for de-essing, I think, mostly. Yeah, the Masterdisk room was pretty complicated, that room. It was like a digital. We had 3 computers, a tape machine, and 4 or so converters. And it was just a digital bay, analog bay. Andy was just a very smart guy, and he just had everything rigged out. Like, it was the most teched out room. And me, when I first started, I was like, this room's too complicated. like for like it just, But yeah, that room was cool. The Weiss box, UV22. We had the Neumann console. Alltech Lansings. Have you ever seen them?
Yeah, like the big reds.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that room was cool. I don't know where we were going with that.
Well, I mean, we were just talking, but one of the things that you brought up was, from that console, there was a module that you really liked a lot. Which one was that?
There were 2, the OE Duo
Okay.
and the NTP compressors.
And the OE Duo, was that an equalizer?
There's a disc cutting EQ, 3-band.
Okay.
That shit was good. It seemed like that was the main sound of like that whole entire era. Like the Masterdisk Sterling sound, the OE Duos, NTPs, through the Neumann consoles. That was like the most common New York City mastering console, I think.
Interesting.
And it probably, all of the records we ever heard probably had some sort of OE Duo or NTP compression. So they're legendary pieces.
That's cool.
Extremely rare.
Yeah, definitely super rare. So at this point, are you staying in the box, or is there any gear that you lust after?
I try not to be lustful. No, I'm sticking with in the box. I made a decision to go this way a while ago, and a lot of people try to get me to buy this piece of gear. Like everyone loves the Ruby. I mean, the VT5.
What's that?
The DW Fern.
Yeah, yep.
And my friend is like, you got to get one. I don't know. I can get there without that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You can get wherever you want to go. You just have to know where you want to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you know what analog sounds like, you can get there. But if you don't, you're just kind of guessing what analog sounds like.
Absolutely.
So I just had that benefit, and I just got lucky to know what, you know, what the gear does, what it sounds like. So for me, I'm sticking in the box because it's just more efficient. It sounds good, and you know, those are the two best reasons. Like, it's fast and it sounds good.
So, are you utilizing some of the things that are advantageous about the box? Do you do offline bouncing, or do you still print out in real time?
No, offline. Yeah,
That's got to save a fuck ton of time.
of course. That's why I don't want to go back to analog. I would have to get like 2 assistants. You know, it'd just be a nightmare. I would never get anything done, and it probably wouldn't even sound any better. You know,
When it comes to mastering, how many records are you trying to turn out a week?
I don't even know. I'm doing about in a week. I don't know. I'm doing about 10 to 20 a day.
Whole albums?
Trying to, yeah.
A day.
10 to 20 a day.
Damn.
On a busy day. Some days I don't do any. But I don't know.
How do you do 10 to 20 albums a day?
I wake up early and I take, like, you know, when I do an offline bounce, I'll walk away and give myself continual breaks throughout the day.
Well, how much time do you spend listening to a song then?
The length of the song a few times. So whatever, a song's 3 minutes. Listen to it a couple times, run a few you know, get some EQs, whatever settings going, vibe to it, you know, probably 20, 30, 40 minutes if it's a problem. I try to work fast and not doubt myself, you know.
No,
That's like a big part of my workflow is working with complete confidence, and part of having the keys is having that confidence to just move very quickly and know that what I'm hearing out of these speakers is what's happening.
Yes.
It's not some other room and there's no other anomalies. That's what it is, you know. So I can just move very, very fast and with complete confidence, and that's like how I get things done. Just moving forward and not overthinking, you know. Yeah, sometimes you can go down the rabbit hole, and I've definitely been there, and I try not to go there.
Sitting there second guessing things. No, I mean, that's just a tremendous amount of songs. So if you're turning out you're trying to turn out, what, 120 songs a day then? At
No,
least?
120 a day? No.
Yeah. Well, didn't you just say 10 albums a day, or do you mean 10 songs a day?
10 songs a day.
Okay, that
Yeah,
makes way more
10
sense. I was
10 to
over
20
here.
songs a
I was
day.
like, what the fuck, dude?
No, man.
Okay, no, that makes complete
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's perfect. You know, what do you like your schedule to be? Do you try and work, 5 days a week, or if there's 7 days on, you'll take it, and 7 days off?
You just got to work when you work.
Yep.
You have to get it done. It makes for planning things difficult, like going on vacations, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
But you have to keep the lights on. Like, the second you say, oh, I'm not available, is the second you don't have that client anymore.
Yes.
So if you're not in it to win it, you know, if you're on vacation and someone calls you and you have your stuff and you can get it done, get it done.
Yep.
Don't say you can't do it. That's, you know, a missed opportunity. But yeah, if I'm working 7 days, I have to work 7 days. You know, sometimes I'll try to push things or give myself a day or two. But these days, everything's like a rush. And you kind of just have to be on your toes and ready to just work.
So, with everything being a rush, that's something that I found as well. And at what point does a lack of planning on someone else's behalf stop being an emergency on yours? At some point you kind of got to be like, hey.
Yeah, it depends. Every situation's different.
Of course.
Every relationship is different. But, there's also the rush fee. And you hit them with the rush fee to make it worth your while of inconveniencing your life,
So is that based on a percentage or just whatever you're feeling?
It's how annoyed you get. I don't know. It's usually just a flat fee. But, there's times where you're out to dinner with your girlfriend and hey, blah blah blah, we need this. Are you available? Can you? Like, okay, well, let's make this quick. I gotta go. And then they'll send you the mixes, and you're waiting 3 extra hours, and
That's the worst.
that's when the rush fee kicks in.
See, that's the worst is when they say, "Hey, man, I'm going to send you this record tonight," and you're just like, "Okay," and then 6 o'clock rolls around and you still haven't got it, and then you're like, call them, and they're like, "Yeah, it's coming," and then so you wait at the studio, and then by 1 o'clock I'm out, and then I come back the next morning. I still
Yeah.
didn't have the
I don't
files.
rush until the files are in my email, and even then I open it from my phone to see what's in there, because it could be like MP3s or whatever the fuck, So I don't really rush until it's in my folder and they're like, you've got the files, what's up?
Yep.
When they send you the first, hey, how's it going? Then you start.
Then the rush is on.
Because, like you said, half the time the rush is a rush, but they're just planning ahead, right?
Yes.
So, yeah. It took me years to figure that out.
So, what time do you like to get going in the morning? Are you trying to be to work by 10 or you work by 7?
Try to get up early and try to get to work by 10
Yep.
and keep it going, stop, do a workout or something, and then get back on it and go until whenever.
So, when we were in the elevator, I saw that this building has many amenities. Do you work out here in the building?
Yeah, there's a gym down here, which makes it easy.
Yep.
There's a pool and jacuzzi up top.
Yeah.
For afterwards if I feel like it. But yeah, I try to get up early, start working here by 10, and I try to be done by at least like 10 o'clock. But sometimes it's like midnight or 1.
Hey.
And then sometimes I have to just shut it down if I'm just like, I need to stop because my brain isn't thinking properly. I have to like shut myself down because I'm just going to waste time. Because the next day I'll just go back and be like, I have to redo that again because I was shot. I was like exhausted,
So do people make the trek down to downtown to hang out with you a lot, or?
Hardly ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cory Henry was here the other day. We wrapped up his album. A few A&Rs, but not really. It's the whole attended session thing kind of stopped being a thing like years ago. No, it's not really a requirement, or people just want their files.
Yep.
Just like hurry up.
Well, thank you again for your time, and anytime that I'm in downtown LA, I'm definitely
Come through.
swinging by.
Hell yeah.